And here's another picture of it.
Oh my God. I'm gonna be closer to you so I can hear you.
Okay, all right. I don't think anybody is doing Google Meet this time, but I do have it open if they choose to.
I recommended to get Nick to come. Nick, he's the newcomer at the Tai Chi, young man. He got the book, he said he would come.
Oh, yeah. I think it's been, it's been tricky getting people to come to book club. I know, like, my mom is usually a regular, but she's out of town. And she's also not in a position where she can Google Meet in. But yeah, if y'all want to tell your friends.
Well, I do talk to everybody who wants to read. They said, "Oh, that's a good idea," but that's as far as they go.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it might be at an awkward time. Maybe we should do like a poll, see if it would be a better time. Speaking of polls, I would like y'all to fill out a survey.
Survey of what?
This summer reading program that you are attending right now. We're asking everybody who comes to summer reading program to fill out a survey.
Yes, we will definitely.
Yes. Because we are trying to make things better for everybody. Do y'all think that Thursday afternoons work for book club? Do you think
Do you need it now or at home? Can I take
no, at the end, sorry. Do you think that Thursday afternoons are good?
And well, I'm retired. I don't have any jobs and no
Right.
husband, so anytime is fine with me. I know she has a husband to look after.
Do you think Thursday afternoons are good for book club?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, it's just because we were talking about why we don't get more attendance, and I don't know if maybe a different time.
Well, for others, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
For younger people, definitely, but
And way back there, we had a good attendance. We would fill up the table.
Right.
well, they get
What happened
old.
to people?
Don't forget, we get old and we lose interest.
Yeah.
So I has to get new blood to get.
Right. That's we need new blood. So we just gotta find some new blood out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I thought the lady that was in the wreck, I thought she was going to come back.
Oh, yeah, she's still doing. Yes, Kathy. Yeah, she likes to read, but I think she's having problems physically. She's unable to, go drive. The last I saw her, she was really, she had somebody to drive her to Tai Chi.
Has she been coming to Tai Chi?
No, she hadn't for the last few times.
Well,
Even Tai Chi is kind of going down.
Has it? Is it? That's because we're not there.
and it's also, summer is our busiest time for kids, but for adults, it's maybe some people are traveling or out of town or And but we're always looking for suggestions too. I'm always looking for suggestions to how to get people to the library program and how to get the word out. We have the Facebook and the Instagram. Not everybody uses those platforms. So how do you get the word out?
Yeah. Well, the newspaper, they used to have a event in Darien, they used to have a
Yeah.
I haven't seen that in a long time now.
Right. Yeah. And maybe not as many people are taking the newspaper as used to,
Yeah, not many people are, yes. They're not.
So it's,
Listen, we've got a good local newspaper. I'm very impressed. For the size of this town, that's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
good paper.
yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. It's,
And the magazine they put out,
Mhm.
quarterly, I guess. That's
Mhm.
really good.
yeah, all right. Maybe they need to be writing about the library and our book club. Anyway, let's talk about the vegetarian. What did y'all think about this book?
I thought it was a shocking book, but it was fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was reading a forbidden, like eating a forbidden apple kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was so visual.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you have to remember the agents are very slack about this kind of stuff. They're not like Americans. Americans tend to be more prudish.
Right. Yeah, that is something that I found interesting, like the sort of the setting aspect, because like here, like in the US, it's not such a big deal to choose to be a vegetarian.
Yeah.
But in the way that this book makes it sound, like in Korea, it's very stigmatized.
Yeah.
So I did think that aspect was interesting. I also thought it was interesting, we chose this book because
Yes, we want to know why. Why? Who recommended this book?
this was my fault.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a good book.
What'd you say? This is what?
You did.
I did.
Yeah.
But I hadn't read it.
Huh?
So I hadn't read it.
Oh,
So
okay.
we were at the rec talk where we picked the book club books, and we had just finished reading Bright Captivity and
Yeah, that was.
and
Oh,
yeah, Bright Captivity. What was the one before that? What was the one that a Demon Copperhead? And those were both such long books. It was it took a long time to read. And so when we were picking the next ones, I was like, why don't we take a couple short books for the summer months? It's summer, we're busy, we don't have as much time to read. Let's get short books. Pulled up a list of like top rated short novels. And this was on there, and we kind of narrowed it down to like what was available in Times, what was available on Libby. And I thought the summary was just like a woman chooses to stop eating meat and it causes a rift with her family. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting premise.
yeah.
That could be an interesting little domestic novel. I was not prepared for some of the directions this book took.
But it was a good book, I think.
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
It was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a vegetarian roommate.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to wait for her to go out or go to work when I cook my meat, meat stir fry or something like that, because she could smell it and she got sick.
Right.
But it's kind of a sad ending. It's like,
Yeah.
well, she can't be cured. So how does it end?
She's
The sister.
she's hospitalized, and she, it is a very sad ending because all she wants is to, be free and be in control of her body, her life, and it's continually taken away from her.
I'm not very impressed with the Korean men at all.
Well, man.
Including the father. The father was terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
That's how that's their attitude. That's their, mentality, Asian mentality.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did seem like the men, certainly, what was the husband's name? Mr. Chong. Yeah, Mr. Chong. Like, he was very abusive. And then her father also, And the brother-in-law was just kind of,
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
he
He was an artist.
yeah, I was like of all the male characters, he didn't seem as bad as the others, but he was still kind of,
But he did not work, and his
No,
wife
no,
had
no.
to do all the work. And then if she asked one little favor,
Mhm.
he couldn't do it because he had to be at his studio.
Right. He was not a successful, like financially successful
Like
artist.
most artists. they're
Yeah,
struggling, you know.
he was your basic struggling artist. But it was interesting to me that it was that Inhai, the sister, had like so dehumanized her own sister that even when her husband was, you know, cheating on her with the sister, like her anger wasn't, oh, my husband is cheating on me. Her anger was like that she had so dehumanized her sister that she was like, how could you, you know, debase yourself with a lesser person like that? And that's what I thought was really revealing of how all the people around Young Hai viewed her. I also thought it was really interesting, you know, that Young Hai had this desire to be a tree and to be, you know, to be like one with nature and not have to be like to a certain, like she was dehumanized by everyone around her, but to a certain extent she kind of dehumanized herself because she didn't want to be a person, you know, with a like with the life that she was assigned. She just wanted to kind of be a free spirit in nature.
Like the American.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, like you know, I've known people like that, not to the extent that she was, but people who just kind of, you know, they don't want to, you know, work in an office or get married or, you know, like they just want to camp in the woods and just live that kind of lifestyle, and you know, by and large they're allowed to, but you know, I certainly, and I've never been to Korea, so I don't know. I don't want to assume that a novel is an accurate representation of a country, but certainly in the novel it seems like that, you know, that in Korea that would be very stigmatized.
You have to, in Asia, you have to fit it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm saying in Japan, the nail that sticks out has to be hammered down. You just have to follow, otherwise you will freak.
And is that just because of like the history and?
Yeah, I guess. It's sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that from like read that from people like from Koreans that it's like there's like that it there's just a lot of social pressure to, you know, to fit in and do your job and be a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
And it seemed like in the story, Young Hai really had very few rights. Like obviously it was because she was disabled and was denied her rights, but even, you know, even before that point, even before she was legally considered disabled, she really didn't have the right stand up to her husband or her family or anything.
But the husband left her in the end, right?
He did, yeah. He left her, and her family tried to persuade him to take her back. And reading this, I'm like, no, you don't want him to take her back. He's terrible, but that again is like from what I have read and been told by Koreans, it's like there's a degree of stigma on being divorced.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't want that.
Stigma on what?
Being divorced.
Well, and you were talking about her sister. Her sister had to assume
Yeah,
the financial bills that she had when she got out of the psychiatric place.
Yes. And then there was a lot in the part that was from Anahai's point of view, it did kind of show more that Anahai had always been the caretaker, just she was the oldest child. She had a husband who didn't really contribute financially or otherwise. So she was taking care of, her sister, her son, her husband, she was her role was the caretaker.
Yeah.
I thought it was so interesting that the husband was drawn to Yang Hai. He wasn't in love with her or anything. He wanted her because she was completely ordinary, and she wouldn't be disruptive. So that right away, that sets the tone for his character and their relationship. He's not holding out for love or happiness. He just wants complete unremarkable.
But way back, it's still happening today. Marriages are arranged, so feelings are not very important.
Mm-hmm.
It's more convenient, or just get it over with, more or less.
Right, or like a family alliance,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it did seem like in the story that it was that they chose each other, that it wasn't arranged, but it was still kind of it wasn't, it wasn't for love or yeah. So yeah, it seemed like Anahai was a very interesting character to me, because it seemed like she was she did dehumanize Yang Hai to a large extent, but she also in the end it seemed like she had a degree of empathy for Yang Hai. In the end, she kind of had that yeah, I just want to run away and be a wood nymph too. I don't want this life, because even she and her husband, she said they had never been happy together. They never, and that which is honestly, if you're going to marry a broke artist, they should at least be her husband. That's the point of marrying a broke artist, right? That's my opinion. But to marry a broke artist who ignores you, that's just what are you doing? So I thought that Anahai was kind of an interesting, complex character. She wasn't she and her her husband both were they had some, they were unhappy with their assigned lives, but they didn't necessarily handle it. I wanted to like the brother-in-law, y'all. I wanted to like him. Because it's oh yeah, he's an artist, he's a free spirit, but he like it seemed like he was the only one who treated Young Hai kindly, but he still didn't really respect her as a person. Like nobody ever respected Young Hai as a person. That was very bad. I'm just talking now. So there was also there were some. So this book was written in Korean and then it was translated into English, and there were some people who had read the Korean and the English version did not think that the translation was an accurate translation.
Well, how do they know unless they can read Korean?
Yeah, they had read, but they could read Korean and English.
Okay.
And they took issue with the translation. I can't read Korean, so I can't speak to that. Now the author, Han Kang, she does read English. And she read the English translation and she thought it was a good translation. So,
Yeah.
That kind of, but there were readers who thought that it was not a good translation. So I always wish that I could speak Korean and kind of weigh in on that. Or I wish we had somebody who spoke Korean and spoke kind of weigh about that. Okay, so I did find some discussion questions. We've covered some of them.
Okay.
The narrative structure in The Vegetarian is unusual. It is told from 3 different perspectives, yet not one of those is the protagonist, Young Hai.
Yeah.
Aside from a few instances of brief dreamlike monologues, readers don't hear directly from her. Why do you think the author has chosen to tell Young Hai's story in this way? How did this narrative technique enhance your understanding of her journey?
Difficult questions. Well, there are three people. The protagonist, well, the victim, she, the husband, the sister, the in-law, brother-in-law.
But we don't really hear from Young Hai herself.
No.
Would it have been a different kind of story if it were from her point of view?
Yeah, well, why did she become vegetarian in the first place? Did they ever explain why? She had a dream.
Because of the dream with the face and the blood.
Oh.
And I think it was it wasn't really explained other than the dream with the face and the blood, but she had a profound empathy for animals. Because she, even in the flashback scenes, when they killed the dog, that was horrifying. And she felt that she had this profound empathy for animals, so she didn't want to, eat them. And then also later, she kind of elaborated that, as she kind of progressed in her altered state, which I love a good altered state of reality. But she felt like she was not a person, or that she was not an animal, that she was a tree, and that she just wanted to grow roots and be in the sun and just be.
Oh, yeah.
So that I think she that initially it seemed like it was that the blood and the horror and the empathy of animals, but she didn't even in the end she didn't even want to eat plants. She just wanted to photosynthesize. It reminded me, I would have, if I had more time, I would look up more about it. But there were historical cases in Europe of women who claimed that they didn't need to eat food and that they could just exist on, sunlight or spirituality. and they would go like long periods without eat food, and they would claim that they didn't need food. And like because it was so long ago, I'm wanting to say this was like 16th century, but I have not looked it up in a while, so I don't actually remember that. But like looking at it now, people have tried to assess like by modern standards what was going on medically, like were they getting nourishment someplace else? How did they not die? Like what was going on? And it's difficult to parse, but there is precedent for people like regardless of whether the materiality of their body bears it out, having the very genuine and sincere belief that they don't need food, they only need sunlight. So it's like they're connected, like at some primal level, they're connecting with that plant part of themselves, which is fascinating to me. And I don't know, in the story, I don't know, like, if Young Hai had been allowed to exist the way she wanted to, just live in the woods, be a tree, be in the sunlight, like, if the society she lived in had accepted that choice for her, could she have made it? Could she have survived?
No, I don't think so. How can she?
I don't know.
I think she lost her mind.
Okay. I think it would have been an interesting thing to explore, because like maybe she could have.
Seemed like she would starve to death because you've got to have nourishment.
Right. I mean, she would have, like, there would have to be something, whether it be like in the water or something, but she's not really. Okay, told within Inhai's story, the ending of the vegetarian is deliberately ambiguous. Inhai stares out of an ambulance window while trees pass her by. What meaning did you take from the novel's final scene? What do you think the author left unwritten? That's what I was kind of just looking at, because this ending is very, ambiguous. They're in the ambulance. Yang Hai is being taken to another hospital where she's going to be confined. She's been sedated against her will. And, Inhai is with her in the ambulance. But it's like the ending is very ambiguous as to where it goes from there. So, what do you think of the ending?
Well, hopeless case.
So do you think if the story continued, like Young Hai would just stay in the hospital forever?
What you be force-fed and
Right.
they should be kept alive again to wish.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It kind of seemed like close to the end. It seemed like Inhai was trying to intervene and kind of wanted Young Hai to be set free, but then it's like she kind of like society kicked back in. Oh, yes,
Do we have maps of Darien, late 1800s that I could direct this gentleman to?
I would recommend the book Early Life on the Georgia Tidewater,
Okay.
and also a historical atlas of Darien and McIntosh County.
Okay, and that would be over.
That would be in 975.8737.
Say that one more time.
975.
I'm sorry.
I cannot believe I have that memorized, and yet
And that was why I didn't recall what you said, because I'm just sitting there going, she knows it off the top of her head. So I was thinking that while you were spitting out the number. I'm taking a note. Try it again.
975.8737. And now that's going to be wrong, and I'm just going to look so dumb.
So tell me what the name of the book were again.
The Historical Atlas of McIntosh County and Early Life on the Georgia Tidewater.
You're gonna come up with a more concise and condensed title. I'm just kidding.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt. You're fine. Thank you. Well, sorry, what were you talking about?
Yeah, next.
Oh yeah, the ambiguity of the ending. Yeah, it did seem very like a very hopeless ending. It seemed like Young Hai would never be free, and also would never fit in. So she was just kind of okay, what are some of the other discussion questions? Okay, we talked about the translation, we talked about the ending. Oh, The Vegetarian has been described as a horror story. Do you think it's a horror story?
No, it was horrifying, but not that kind of scary, horrifying.
I think it's social horror.
Yeah.
You know. So it's like social horror, like, you know, it's something like that, where it's like the part, like the monster is like the society, or you know, the expectations, or the, you know.
Close this door.
Okay.
We're hearing aids, background noise.
Oh, right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's such a great point. Thank you.
They're having fun out there though.
We're having fun in here.
Yeah, we do. I
Exactly.
enjoy it. Yes.
All right. The themes of bodily autonomy and agency feature heavily within The Vegetarian, from sexual violence and consent to force feeding and institutionalization. What role do they play within the novel, and why did the author write so persistently on the dark side of human action?
That was very. Say the last.
So what?
Why did she use all this?
Yeah, what is the relevance of the theme of bodily autonomy?
Yeah.
That there's so much violation, you know, especially of Yang Hai, having violence enacted against her. And
Well, you're talking about the painted bodies or the.
well, no, because she agreed to that.
Yes, that's what I mean. She was.
She liked that.
Right. So that wasn't no. This is about stuff that was done to her against her will.
Yeah.
In the institution.
In her whole life. Because that's what it's saying. The themes of bodily autonomy and agency, from sexual violence and consent to force feeding and institutionalization. So it's like for her whole life, she was
Yeah, her
always,
father had been mean to her.
yeah, like her father was abusive, her husband was abusive, and then she ended up institutionalized. So like she was never free. She was never in control of her body. And it does seem because this is the second part of the question is, why did the author write so persistency on the dark side of human action?
Maybe she understands, maybe she's had experiences.
Yeah. And I think my answer would be to highlight that it is a dark side.
Yeah,
Because a lot of people might assume
yeah.
that that it's not. A lot of people might assume the best of somebody's family or somebody's husband or somebody's doctor, and she's showing, that this is cruelty.
Yeah.
By the end of the novel, Yang Hai has been admitted to an asylum. Do you think Yang Hai has descended into madness, or could it be argued that she is fully lucid, in control of her faculties, and protesting against the circumstances which had been forced upon her?
I hope she lost her mind in such a terrible, existence. I mean,
Well, it sounds like a good institution though, but they let her wander off.
Well, why do you say it sounds like a good institution?
Well, it was in a good setting. And, well, yeah, they weren't happy, were they?
Yeah, because she wasn't happy there.
Yeah,
So
and the other patrons didn't seem.
then they weren't happy.
So I guess she wasn't getting the treatment she should have. Just stuck off somewhere.
Well, I mean, she was getting treatments, but it was against her will.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me answering this question, I would say I think that's a false binary, but anyways, so, we kind of talked about all of these other questions.
I'm sorry, I'm with the DAR and we have some things in the cabinet over here I need to work on. If I do that quietly,
You're fine. I think we're about to
Yeah,
wrap
done.
up.
Okay.
Did you have any more thoughts on the book?
no.
I didn't
You
use.
have your book for next month?
Did you have the book for next month? The next month is, we have copies up for check out, and it is My Own 2 Feet by Beverly Cleary. So we have copies to check out. We can read that, and then next week, a week from today, we have Rec Talk. We'll come recommend stuff. And I think My Own 2 Feet is it's a memoir, and it's gonna
Oh, I like memoir.
all right, so you're gonna like this, and it's not gonna be dark and horrifying. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be dark and horrifying. And then I think the next book after that is I don't remember the title, but I think that one is not dark and horrifying.
Was what?
I think the next book after that is something lighthearted as well. I think it's Lula May's Little Library or something like that.
Oh, yeah. I know. My little banned book library or something
Yes.
like that.
Yeah, Lula May's Little Library of Banned Books. And I think that one is pretty lighthearted as well. So
Well, in Googling this, they kept referring to the allegory. Now, what do they mean by that? And they kept referring to Kafka. Have you read his?
oh yeah, okay. So I think So I think the allegory is that because I read some of those reviews too, and I think the allegory is like for the society, like whether in Korea or in other places, of you being so controlled and regimented. And yeah, I think they were comparing it to Kafka, who I have not actually read, so I can't really speak to that. But I think he is known for writing about like that social horror genre of like it's society that's the monster.
Well, I got interested and I went and read the Metamorphosis by
Okay.
Kafka.
Mhm.
And that was interesting.
Okay. All right.
But I guess I don't understand the allegory part of it, but
Okay, well, I have not read that, but I'll tell you what, why don't we come next week to Rec Talk and we can talk about that? And maybe I'll read it by then.
it's a really short book.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I know a lot of people read it in school, but I did not, so I kind of don't really know anything about it. So I will look into that for sure. Well, thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Please just leave it with me, and then it's like, but thank y'all for coming. Please tell your friends, come,
Yeah.
come to Rec Talk, come to book club, come to, log your reading time on the stat. The more you participate in the library, the happier you make me.
He's a reader. He loves to read.
Excellent.
He said he reads 10 books
All right.
at a time.
Oh wow. Okay, that's pretty intense.
I don't see how you can do that.
I used to be able to read multiple books at once, and now I just can't. My brain doesn't.
But he's young.
Yeah, well,
And he's a new transplant.
I'm good. I'm good. All right.
Thank you, Lila.
All right.
Thank you for helping me out.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I do need
What, I need to do something?
date and
Oh, what date is today?
Today is the 26th.
22nd?
6.
26.
626. And then, oh wait, was this yours?
Thank you.
Sorry, was this yours? Was this yours?
Yeah.
Okay, we just need the date and the program.
Thank you, Lila.
Thank you.
Is it?
That's it? Thank you. Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Are you having a party now? Is that what this is?
Oh, no. We're just having somebody in the meeting room. So I will be out of your hair.
You're not the one here. I'm just I'm with the DAR,
Mm-hmm.
and these are our scrapbooks for our chapter.
Oh, excellent.
A few weeks ago,